Okay, today we're going to talk about the third section of Chapter 1, Studying Life. So our big ideas here are what characteristics do all living things share? And a key concept that we're going to gain from today's lesson are that living things are made up of basic units called cells, are based on a universal genetic code, obtain and use materials and energy, grow and develop, reproduce, respond to their environment, maintain a stable internal environment, and change over time. So our goal today is to explain the characteristics common to all organisms, so all things that are alive. Remember that when we study biology, we're studying the study of life. But the question is, well, what really is life? There's not just one characteristic that can describe what a living thing is. And some non-living things may share some characteristics with living things. For instance, viruses. Viruses may seem very much living when they are infecting our bodies and making us sick, but they don't have all the characteristics of life to be considered a living thing. So we'll explore some more of these characteristics. Living things are based on a universal genetic code. Well, what that means is that all organisms store their genetic information in molecules called DNA. That information is copied and passed from parents to offspring, and it's almost identical in every organism on Earth. So the DNA of a fish is actually quite similar to your own DNA. The DNA even of a tree is very similar to you. Even the DNA of a simple single-celled bacteria has many similarities because we're all based on the same code. Living things grow and living things develop. During development, a single fertilized egg divides again and again, and as these cells divide, they differentiate and they perform different functions. Now, this would be in multicellular organisms. Living things respond to their environment. A signal to which an organism responds is called a stimulus. For example, some plants can produce unsavory chemicals to ward off caterpillars that feed on their leaves. So a signal to which an organism responds we call a stimulus. And all living things respond to the environment around them. All living things reproduce, which means they produce new, similar organisms. Most plants and animals engage in sexual reproduction, in which cells from two different parents unite to form the first cell of a new organism. But some organisms reproduce through asexual reproduction, in which a single organism produces offspring identical to itself. Living things maintain a relatively stable internal environment, even when external conditions change dramatically. All living things expend energy to keep conditions inside their cells within certain limits. We call this homeostasis. For example, there's special cells inside leaves that regulate the amount of gases that enter and leave the plant to keep that plant maintaining a stable environment with its surroundings. Similarly, our own cells have many ways to regulate the different nutrients and amounts of water within the cell and the environment that is surrounding our cells. Living things obtain and use materials and energy to grow, develop, and reproduce. The combination of all the different chemical reactions through which an organism builds up or breaks down materials is called metabolism. Well, for example, leaves obtain energy from the sun and gases from the air, and they use that to make their own food. We call that process photosynthesis. That's one way that plants carry out metabolism. As humans, we carry out metabolism by eating food, which our body breaks down to release energy. And we use that energy for all of our cellular processes. That's a different type of metabolism. All living things are made up of one or more cells. Cells are the smallest units considered to be fully alive. This is a really, really important thing to remember. In order to be living, something must be cellular. Whether it's just made of one single cell, like that picture right there of a paramecium, or whether it's made of very many different differentiated cells, like humans. All living things also evolve. Over generations, groups of organisms evolve, which just means that they change over time. Evolutionary change links all forms of life to a common origin, more than 3.5 billion years ago. So most scientists agree with the idea that everything on life, all the life on Earth is related to one another. Okay, so just to recap, what are the central themes in biology? Well, the study of biology is the study of life, and we're looking at the cellular basis of life, information and heredity, matter and energy, growth, development, reproduction, homeostasis, evolution, structure and function, unity and diversity of life, interdependence of nature, and science as a way of knowing and a way of understanding all the life that surrounds us. So thanks for listening to this short lesson on Section 3 of Chapter 1. Please see myself, Mrs. Graham, or Mrs. Kroll if you have any questions. And please join us in our next live class. Check out all the resources on the bottom of this pod to review any notes, to review your vocabulary, and to prepare for your upcoming benchmark test.